Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Jonathan Ross Show. Let's take a look at who's in my green room tonight. My first guest is someone who inexplicably has become not only one of the best-loved faces on British TV, but is also one of the country's most successful children's authors of all time. With over 20 million book sales to his name, it is, of course, David Walliams, OBE. Hi, David. How are you? How lovely to have you back. Alongside David is a double Oscar-winning actor who starred in so many amazing movies. Many of your favourites, I'm sure, including Bugsy Malone, Taxi Driver and, of course, Silence of the Lambs. She's now proving she's just as talented behind the camera as a director. It is the fabulous Jodie Foster. Hi, Jodie. Good evening to you, and thank you for coming. My next guest is one of the country's most popular stand-up comedians. It is Roisin Conaty. Hey, Roisin. I love Roisin Conaty, and I don't care who knows it. Plus, we have, and I am super excited about this, we have genuine icons of both music and style in the building. One of the greatest bands to come out of the New York punk scene. It is the legendary Blondie. We've got Debbie, of course, and Debbie and Chris will be chatting to me, and Blondie will be performing later on at the end of the show. Let's get my next guest out. They're one of the most influential and iconic bands of all time. I'm sure you won't need this, but let's just quickly remind yourselves of how great they are. Blondie. From Blondie, it's Deborah Harry and Chris Stein. I'm just going to go like that. I don't want to knock your hat off. Hey, come on, guys, do it. That looks amazing. Don't knock it off. How long, so you guys were together as a couple for how long, as a proper couple?
10 to 15 years, somewhere in there.
Something like that.
I lose track of the 5-year span towards the end, you know.
But it's really heartening to see, and it's unusual to see people who've had that sort of intense relationship, and then obviously you're back together for work, but you are still very close friends, aren't you?
Yeah, she's my buddy.
I hate him.
You guys were together in a band before. Were the Stilettos, were you in the Stilettos as well?
Yes.
And so the Stilettos led to Blondie. So how did you two meet?
I went to this
Yeah, he went to
show.
the show.
I went to the first Stilettos show. And the stage was a board on a pool table or something like that. Yeah.
Was it up that high?
I don't remember. It was primitive.
It was a low ceiling, that's why I bring that up.
Yeah.
So you weren't in the band, and then
No.
who got you? How did you get into the band then?
I was really taken with this one, and shortly thereafter I became the first sort of steady musician. They had fluctuating musicians up to that time.
And that's when your relationship began, I guess. Is that when you became a couple?
Well, we sort of became friends and enamored of one another, and we sort of...
We hung around for a few months.
Yeah, and we had a good working relationship, and it, you know, sort of just grew naturally. We shared similar tastes and ideas, and, you know, then we were doing it.
And we've got some pictures, not of you doing it, but we've got some pictures. You're a very talented, very gifted and very respected photographer.
I try.
That's one of Debbie, of course. So was this in the apartment you had down near the...
This was a loft that we had, which was haunted.
Yeah.
Definitely haunted, filled with poltergeist activity, all kinds of stuff like that. I don't necessarily subscribe to that ghost stuff, but definitely went on there.
I mean, when you say you don't subscribe to the fact you said it was definitely haunted, maybe you do subscribe to it.
Well, there you couldn't avoid it. I mean, you know, knocking in the walls and things falling down, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, well,
that was the same place.
That's a demonstration of my housekeeping.
Well, there you can see the poltergeist had been in that room and threw everything. Nilly.
When were these taken, Chris or Deborah? Was it like 76 or 74?
That's like 75, maybe, 75,
So this
76.
is almost exactly the same time that Jodie was shooting...
Well,
Taxi
you know,
Driver.
I was thinking of that as she was speaking.
I
Well,
would be exactly
we
the same
missed
time.
it. You know, we see a lot of shoots in New York, but we were off in 77 when that was being shot in 66, 76 or 7.
It would have been, no, it would be 74. It'd be 74 and a half. It's almost
Well,
75.
we were right in the same neighborhood there.
You know, let me ask you a bit about the start, because the look of Blondie, it was such a kind of bold, it was such a fun look as well, and it was so kind of iconic, and it seems to me it's influenced a lot of people. I mean, I see the influence a lot of places. Do people, do they acknowledge that? Do they, I mean, because Madonna, obviously, I think, borrowed from you somewhat, and in movies like in Suicide Squad, you have Harley Quinn, who seems to have lifted you directly almost.
Well, that was very nice. They made a nice reference to us and said that, you know, they actually held up a picture. They showed that picture.
Yeah.
And
I
said
think we've
that,
got the picture, which
yeah,
looks just like an
they used that as a reference for her costume. So that was very sweet of them, I thought.
I mean, it's almost like the costume was designed by you.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys, let me talk about some of the people you worked with. I remember you toured with Iggy Pop at that period in his career when David Bowie was helping him get back where he should have been. So Bowie was playing keyboards on stage with Iggy Pop, and you guys were opening, which must have been a remarkable gig to go to. So presumably you were fairly close with both David and with Iggy.
Well, you know, and they were mentors in a nice way and you know, a crazy way as well. So, I mean, they were, of course, genuine, you know, real rock and rollers, and but also, you know, showmen, you know, and knew, you know, they would just give us tips and stuff like that.
I've read this, I don't know if it's true, I read this, that during the course of that tour, at times when Chris wasn't immediately in the vicinity, both David and Iggy expressed an interest in getting to know you better.
Well, I am writing a book.
So we'll
But
have...
I can't imagine how you do 17 books in 10 years.
if you read one, you can see how.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. They are genuinely wonderful. They are really wonderful.
Amazing.
It's great to have you on the show. What track are you performing from the album tonight? This is the
Yes.
new, I've got the vinyl. This is the new Blondie album, Pollinator.
Long time.
Long time.
It's written by Devontae Hines.
So you're going to perform live for us in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. Cherish this moment, because you won't get this kind of moment very often. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to send them over to perform now, but will you join me in saying thank you to Chris Stein and Deborah Harry? Debbie and Chris, if you'd like to go over and join the rest of your band over there. It's going to be great. Just time for me to thank all my guests tonight. David Walliams, the wonderful Jodie Foster, and of course, Roisin, Conaty. Will you join me next week on the programme? Nadia Hussain will be here. The brilliant comedian Mickey Flanagan and Grace Jones will be on the couch. Plus, we'll have music from Stormzy. But now, with long time, here they are, the wonderful Blondie!
I've been running circles round a life that never ends. I've been chasing heartache in a city and a friend. Oh, I've been with you so long, even seen you lose it, but who cares? Racing down the Bowie on a crowded afternoon, and dripping from the downpour of your insecure typhoon. Can you even want me, or is this just a way to keep you sane? Take me and lose me, then tell them I'm yours. Are you happy? Does it take you a long time? Does it make you upset? Does it make you think everybody wants to be your friend? I can give you a heartbeat. I can give you a friend. I can make you think everybody wants to be a friend. Drinking by yourself with a smile Does it take you a long time? Does it make you upset? Does it make you think everybody wants to be a friend?